We're already like live.
Yeah.
We'll wait for some folks to join.
Yo, 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 what is going on, creative financing community? Woo! And my YouTube channel?
Let's go.
So we have myself, Cody Barton here. We have obviously my business partner, for those of you guys that do know, and Pace Morby's business partner, Matthew Beard.
That's me.
And we decided for everybody within this, creative financing community, we're like, what are the most common things that people are asking? How do I get a deal? How do I structure a deal? And, how do I deal with, realtors when a realtor gets involved in a deal? Because, Matt, how many times are you, has our sales team been right at the finish line to get a contract signed, but then the magical realtor gets involved and kills the deal? It's one of those things that happens.
I feel like that is just like always like, it's always your worst fear.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh my gosh, this seller is selling me this property. Does he know that he can list it and get like more money?
Yeah.
Right. So now you're like in the back of your head, like, what's the chance of them talking to someone else during your escrow period? What's the chance of a realtor giving them a call?
Yeah.
Pretty likely.
Yeah.
So like being able to work with realtors to get deals signed and get them to closing is a great skill and something that you guys should not be afraid of if you know how to work it and know how to like speak, I guess, the realtor language. At the end of the day, the realtor just wants to make a commission. If they're doing what's best for the client, they're going to look like a rock star because you're the actual end buyer. You're going to perform. So the realtor looks good. They just want to make some money. So I wouldn't run away from those situations. That's what we're breaking down here today for you guys this Monday. And just a little background of what we're doing here. Every single Monday, me, Cody, Pace, we get together and we do our partnership meeting, which is typically after Wholesale Hotline. So if you guys are watching in Creative Finance, you probably see Wholesale Hotline in here too somewhere. But once Wholesale Hotline finishes, we have a partnership meeting where we break down all of our businesses we have together. And Pace and Cody came up with the idea of like, oh my gosh, well, what would be something that we believe would be pretty helpful for this community, as well as the folks that are checking out Cody on his YouTube channel, like trying to learn more about how to get started. There's so many different ways that you can go, and there's so many things that you feel like could trip you up. So hopefully, as we go live every single Monday here, we're breaking down the deals that we're actually doing in our business. We're not just talking about doing deals. These are real deals that we're doing, real scenarios. Hopefully you guys get some value from this stuff, and you're able to take away things that you can actually implement in your business. So if you guys are just joining, I see we have some viewers here. Like, comment in the comment section, what do you think about us doing this every single Monday? Do you want to see more of this kind of content? Do you want to see us coming live and actually breaking down deals? You're like, dude, I don't care. If you want to see more of this, like, put hell yes in the comment section. We'd love to know where you guys are at as we start talking about these opportunities that we're working with.
Awesome. So there's two questions that I wanted to ask you, Matt, before we get into this deal, because for those of you that have already hopped on, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about, for the basically breaking down the deals that we're doing in our business, like Matt said. But in this specific deal, we want to talk about how to work with realtors in a transaction that you've already began negotiating with the seller, because those situations can get sticky and they can be challenging to navigate. So we want to touch on that in this video. So Matt, one of my questions that I have for you is, because you mentioned this a little bit earlier, is, okay, yeah, we have a deal, but what happens if the realtor reaches out and they find out they can get more if they list it? Now, in our process working with sellers, are we just hiding from them that they can, get more money if they go another direction? Or are we sharing, hey, you can list it with an agent and get more money? What does that look like for our business?
Well, I think just transparency in general.
Yeah.
Doing this business is important. Letting your seller know, and this is like coming from just being super duper transparent with you guys. We have to be honest with our sellers. Like, if we're not going out and solving problems, if listing the property solves that problem for the seller, then yes, they should probably list it. But 9 times out of 10, the people that we work with, listing the property is something they don't want to do, or it doesn't solve their problem. So when someone's like, we're going into an appointment, heck, I got one tomorrow that we're going in. And that's the first thing I talk about. It's like, yo, why don't you just list this place? Right?
I know there's probably some newer wholesalers or other newer investors that are like, why would you tell them that? You want to buy it and you're telling them to do something else.
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck? Why do we do that? Because that makes
it's like a psychology thing. Well, number one, it's the truth.
Yeah,
it
is.
Hey, why don't you just list it? You're going to get more money. We have to be transparent with our sellers because it's actually on our contract too that we're buying the property for profit.
Yeah.
Right. So when we're working with a seller, they have to know, like, yo, if you list this thing, you're probably going to make more money. Right. And we're transparent with them, but it's also a psychology thing in the back of their mind of, hey, I don't have to buy your property, dude. Like, I would love to work with you, but me coming out and saying, like, why don't you just list it? And one line that I love to say in every single appointment is like, hey, if you decide to work with us, or maybe you decide to work with someone else, like yada da 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 da, right? Whatever that may be, I pull ourselves out of the situation. So this is just the first step of that. When I first go into an appointment, very oftentimes, like, seems like a good place. Like, why don't you just list it, right? Or tell me a little bit more about what's going on. Like, catch me up to speed. Why haven't you listed the property already, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is that initial discussion because I want to move past that as soon as possible, right? I want to move past that whole realtor thing. Like, if you want to list it, dude, we're wasting our time here. Go do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We will do that immediately.
100%. So it's basically for us to save our time too, and not be, following up with somebody that's not even a real seller. It's not a seller that's going to sell to us in the first place. So,
right.
well, Matt, let's talk about this deal. So I think one of the things that I love about this deal is the name of the street it is on is Easy Street. Like
Easy Street.
Literally Easy Street. And when Matt I think Matt, you told me about the deal and you're like, yeah, we got a deal on Easy Street. And in my head, I'm like, okay, Easy Street. So it's an easy deal. Like, it's a good deal. Got it. Well, I didn't actually know that it was on Easy Street, is actual street name.
Bro. And if you guys know real estate, there ain't no such thing as Easy Street. There ain't no such thing as easy deal. When something is too easy, you're like, oh my God.
You almost get worried.
Ending? Is it the apocalypse? Is something happening? Like, this was it's almost suspicious. This was way too easy.
Yeah.
Do I have the right person? But yeah, so this deal was on Easy Street. The interesting thing about this particular deal was that we went direct to seller on this one. Okay. So this seller came up on one of our marketing lists. We were cold calling, and we were calling about his personal residence, which is like right outside of town in Buckeye, Arizona. And he wasn't interested in selling that property. Well, a great thing our VAs do when someone's like, yeah, I'm not interested in selling. Say, okay, well, do you by chance have any other property you might be interested in selling? And very often, I wouldn't say very often, but it does happen that the seller does have other properties. So in this case, he did. He had another property that was kind of like I don't know, in Arizona, it gets really damn hot during the summertime. Obviously, it's like 120 degrees here. People like to have summer homes in Arizona. And the cool thing about this one, it was just up the road in Payson where it gets a little bit cooler. But obviously, it's still a great market. He had an extra property that they just go visit during the summertime up in Payson. He's like, yeah, I do have another one. What are you guys hoping to pay? That's kind of how we opened that conversation.
That's awesome. So we can call that like the $50,000 question.
Yes.
Is by chance, do you have any other properties?
Do you by chance have anything else you want to sell? You got a couch? You got a pool table you want to sell me? You got a ping pong table? No, we don't buy everything, but obviously we want to at least open that discussion up because you'd be surprised. Do you have anything else you would be open to selling? Do you know anyone who's open to selling? Because another cool thing about this deal, beyond the fact that we're working with a realtor, is they have friends that have 5 other properties up in Payson that are interested in selling their vacation homes. Cody didn't even know this until just now. And it came from.
When are we talking to them?
And it came from the realtor who we're working through. So this is a great relationship.
Oh
and guys,
my gosh.
Don't sleep on this. And I'm going to go to this in a second. But having a good relationship with the realtor is opening the door to more opportunities, right?
That's wild. So I want to jump back to, because you're obviously we talked about, okay, well, the lead came from the virtual assistant's cold calling on a property in Buckeye, turned into a property in Payson. And now we're having a conversation about getting the real estate agent involved. Like, how the heck how did we get this agent involved in the situation? Why didn't we just work this deal out with the seller like we already were?
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but have you ever encountered a seller that lies to you? Have you ever talked to a seller that has lied to you? Put it in the comment section.
Have you ever lied to a seller? No, I'm
Have
just
you
kidding.
ever lied to anyone? Right? This happens in this world. Reality is we were a little off on price, right? Seller was asking a certain price. We didn't have enough motivation out of them. They were like, yeah, if we get our price, we'd sell. And we were still about 30 grand off on price at the time because they were asking like 240,000 for it. I'm like, I don't think we make 240,000 work. But we also knew that they're like, yeah, we're getting a bunch of lowball offers. So guys, I know a lot of times you guys are like, oh, I'm talking to sellers. They've already talked to 4 other people. I'm talking to sellers. They've already talked to 3, 5, 6, so many people are calling them. That's the reality of every single seller you're going to run into, especially in great markets. So acknowledging that, I love to do that on my call. When I actually do the sale, I'm like, look, I know you get a bunch of people that want to buy your property. Like, how many calls you get like this a day? I'll say that and be like, oh, at least a dozen. I'm like, exactly. Look, I know we're not the only people that are calling. We're not the only people that wants to buy a property. It's important that you get as much as you possibly can. I understand that, but it has to work for both of us, right? So with this particular seller, we slow played it. We actually followed up with this person for about I think it was like 6.5 months,
Wow.
where we're off on the price. But they got to the point where they were being a little bit more realistic. After a little while, they're like, okay, we do want to sell. We know that no one is getting anywhere close to our number. The great thing that I love about other wholesalers is they like set the bar really low for us, right? Because a lot of wholesalers just dish out offers.
Just throw 50% of what Zillow says, and that's their offer.
Right. And I'm like, yo, I can pay more than that. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm never going to be the highest bidder. Like, as like a wholesaler, you're never going to be the person that's going to pay the most for the property, especially in today's world, especially in like Phoenix, where you're going at single family homes that fit the buying criteria of every iBuyer hedge fund. You're not going to be the highest bidder, right? So wholesalers really help, and they did in this scenario because they're like, they're throwing offers of like 150, 145, 160. And what it did was it naturally made that seller become like, okay, well, maybe I won't get 240, but I'll be okay with eventually with walking away with 190. And we're like, oh, shoot, that's a deal. That's a deal. But the challenge with that was as soon as we got them on the hook for 190, we're ready to move forward. They're like, well, to be honest with you, a realtor called, right? I'm like, no, it took 6.5 months. And now a realtor called out of the blue, right? So if a realtor's doing their job, they're prospecting, they're looking for listings. The real realtors are making this stuff happen. So like he prospected and he called the seller and he's like, yeah, I do have a property I want to sell. I'm getting offers for like 150. I'd be okay with walking away with 190. And the realtor's like, this is a great listing because I can actually get you more, Mr. Seller. We're going to list it for 205, right? And we're like, no, we finally got to the point where we're going to be able to get this deal with cash at 190. A realtor came in and ended up like wanting to list it for 205. So now we had this weird dynamic of, well, we have a relationship with the seller, but now the realtor is going to think that we're not great people because they're like, well, you guys are a part of that group that kept lowballing them. I'm going to try to get them more. I'm going to show them why working with me was the right decision, right? Working with me as their realtor I'm going to net them more money. So now we don't only have to just win over the seller, but we also got to show the realtor that we're going to perform, that we are real people, that we do what we say we're going to do. We are the actual end buyer. So it created this interesting dynamic, but like it didn't deter us from getting this deal.
Yeah. So I think I was just thinking in my head, I'm like, man, when realtors get involved, I know when I think about it, because I used to be a realtor. I mean, I still have my license, but whenever I was working as an agent, you get this shoved down your throat of investors are just cash, bad people that, can't get deals done. But what I found was, there's a few cash buyers that I used to work with when I was working as a real estate agent a few years ago. And those are actually some of the best buyers because they make it easy. If you have good cash buyers, I mean, as an agent, like your life is you're living on easy street because they're just going to close.
Ooh, can we have a little soundboard?
Yeah, and the reason being is because it's going to close. It's closing cash, no appraisal contingencies, no inspections, no negotiating.
You're
repairs.
getting your commission.
Yep, your commission's just slid in there, and you're just kind of sitting back. I didn't have to list it on the MLS. I didn't have to do anything.
Dude, you're a rock star. You have like a great freaking network. Like, I got your property, so whatever. Put it on MLS.
Yep. Right? So I think that's one of the great things that happened here. But what was that? Do you have an idea of what that conversation looked like to get this pushed over the edge? Because obviously it's like, okay, Mr. Seller, you can get more listing it with me. I know you're about to take 190. Like, how did that kind of finish coming together to actually work out here?
Right. Well, I think our relationship with the seller actually helped. We're like, okay, great. If you could just link me with the realtor, we'll have a conversation with them and we'll see, what we need to do to move forward with them. We ended up sending over our credibility packet to the realtor, and the credibility packet in the form of an email. So we sent them an email. Hey, my name's Matt with such and such company. This is what we do. Here's some projects that we have going on. Here's some reviews of our company. We are actual cash buyers. So a lot of you guys are just getting started. This is where you leverage a title company. This is where you leverage any other previous transactions. And this is where you also leverage proof of funds, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only thing the realtor cares about. It's like,
what if I don't have proof of funds though?
Right.
If I'm brand new listening, like I think about when I was first getting started, I'm like, I don't have proof of funds to show this realtor. Like, what do you do in that situation?
Well, there's a bunch of places you can get proof of funds, but I prefer just to work with a JV partner who has the cash. Like if you guys have deals in Arizona, we're happy to give you a proof of funds. But I would find someone to JV with if you're just getting started that can give you that. I wouldn't just go generate one online, because the realtors, like if they're doing their job, they will call to check, right? They're like, hey, do you know these guys over here? Yeah. So you're good, like especially with like hard money proof of funds. They're going to call and see like, so you guys are good with them, with lending them the hard money on this property, right? So you don't want to just give them something, like you can lose the deal if you don't do that. Yeah. Right? I see there's like, oh, we can go to the such and such website and they'll generate a proof of funds, whatever number you want. It's like, dude, real estate professionals, they're going to be diligent and steadfast. They're going to look for the information. They want to make sure that if my seller is going to sign this off and I say this is a good deal as they're representing them, they're going to double check the proof of funds. So I highly recommend getting a JV partner that can give you that. So when they do call to check, it's like, it's freaking legit, right?
Love that. So we provided proof of funds, that credibility email, with our title company and all the, the deals that we're doing and we've done. What else happened from there? I mean, then was it pretty much like the agent's like, all right, yeah, let's roll.
Not quite. Because the challenging thing with deals on the market, you want to look at what the realtor has had that discussion with the seller, right? What expectations do they set with the seller? So this particular agent, after we got him on the phone, we're like, hey, so we're actually talking with the seller. You owe us this deal. We're already working with them. No, we didn't do that. We're like, hey, so you're listing this property. This is awesome. We're excited to work with you. What are you guys hoping to do? I see you have it. You're going to be listing at 205. Like, guys, 205 was still a deal for us. At 190, we're like, oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah. 205 was still a deal for us. So we're like, okay, well, I know you listen to 205, but kind of what are you guys hoping to do? It's like, well, we're going to give it 72 hours, and the highest and best in 72 hours gets the property. We're like, okay, well, Mr. Agent, we would love to work with you. Look, we do a lot of these transactions, and honestly, we want this to go so smooth and so easy for you that whenever this finishes and this closes and you get paid, that you want to send us more deals like this, right? That it's advantageous for you to think of us next time you get an opportunity. And he's like, oh yeah, that sounds great, but we'll see, right? So like sometimes you work with realtors like this that they want to they want to make more money on commission. So they want to get the highest bidder. So the one thing that I don't do right then is I don't put out a bid, right? When they're going to wait 72 hours regardless, I'm not going to say, well, will you sell it to me right now if I pay 205?
Yeah.
Well, what if I pay 210? Will you sell it to me? No. Like the last thing you're going to do is just dish out offers. In this particular case, like after 72 hours, they're going to accept the highest and best. So I told the realtor, look, this is what we'll do. I'm going to send you a proof of funds of what we can purchase. I'm not going to send over an offer quite yet, but if you could do me one favor, I know I may not deserve it, right? I know this is the first time we talk, but before you guys accept an offer, can we see where the dust settles in 72 hours to see if it's something we can beat so we can pay your client more? And he's like, absolutely, that makes sense, right? So after 72 hours, we call back. We had the discussion. It was funny because they had some financing offers at 220. They had another buyer come in at 210 with cash. They had another financing offer come in at around 230, FHA, buying it as is. So they got offers higher than 205, But I called back the realtor. I'm like, hey, so where is everything standing? He's like, well, I do have this cash offer for 210, but they're going to be going through, like, I've never heard of this hard money loan, like, and I can't even find them anywhere online, and they don't have a title company. Like, this is very often with wholesalers that don't have the credibility, right? And they don't know how to represent themselves, which was probably the case here.
Yeah.
So
sure.
we're like, look, honestly, should I go in and pay 210? No, I'm not budging. 205. Look, so we're still good at 205 with cash, right? And we're going to close. Here's our proof of funds. We actually gave them a screenshot of our bank account. Okay. Here's our bank account. We're going to close on this property. And again, we want to make this such a great experience that once everything's said and done, it's advantageous for you to send us more deals, right? He's like, okay, well, let me present this. And because the other person that came in at 210 didn't represent themselves well, they probably didn't even take time to call the realtor. You guys would be surprised how important it is to like actually have relationships in this business. Like, so many people are like, yeah, but if I send out so many offers a day, I'm going to get contracts. Like, that doesn't matter. This is still a relationship business, especially when you have basically a gatekeeper. Like, I want to get buddy with that gatekeeper.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that
you want them on your side as much as possible.
We're going to be best friends, right? And then another cool thing that we do if realtors are involved, we let them represent us. So they get double commission, right? So they get the buyer side and the seller side. So we came in at 205. Agent was like, cool. He presented it. They ended up going with us because of our relationship. And it's funny, as we saw this thing through, we'll go through the numbers here in a second, but as we saw this thing through all the way to close, it closed on time. There was no hiccups. There was no surprises. The agent was like, that was the easiest escrow that I've been a part of in recent memory, right? And then after it closed, like, look, we have 5 other people that is friends with the seller that have properties just like this, and they're going to be coming up, and I want to send them to you guys first to see if you want them, right? Because we made it so dang easy for the realtor. Like, guys, this is such a great thing to do. Don't be afraid to work with the agents because agents are always in the deals. Am I right?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're just wading through deals. The good agents anyways.
Yes.
They're wading through deals every single day. They're talking to sellers and buyers every single day. That's what they're doing.
I don't know the exact percentage, but I'm pretty sure it's like at least 9 times out of 10, an agent is somewhere involved in all the transactions.
Oh yeah. Even on the stuff we buy wholesale most of the time, it's like, well, I talked to my cousin that's a realtor. I talked to my aunt that's a realtor. Yes. My sister's best friend is a realtor. I mean, everybody knows a realtor, so they're involved somehow, some way. They try to put their hands in and get their gold coins out of these deals.
So I can almost guarantee, for all the information that's out there, a lot of people are sleeping on realtor deals. A lot of people are sleeping on the opportunity to work with realtors simply because they're going to think like, oh, I can't do a deal with them, or it's going to be too challenging. Guys, they're amazing resources. Like, maybe building relationships with realtors won't pay you this week. It may not pay you this month. It may not pay you in the next 6 months. But if you're building relationships with realtors on top of your direct to seller stuff that we do, like, they pay you in perpetuity. Like, the relationships you build. I mean, there's realtors that literally they build their entire business around the sphere of influence, meaning the people in their life. Like, if you build those kind of relationships with the actual realtors who are part of all these transactions, you're going to have deals being sent to you without you even having to pay for it. And it becomes like a free lead source. Like, we're not going to pay for those other 5 opportunities this realtor is bringing to us. Hey, who knows if they're going to be a deal or not? But ultimately, we want more people in our world like that is bringing us opportunities that didn't cost us anything out of our pocket other than a couple good conversations, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. So let's look at on this deal. Like Matt said, we were going to get it for $190, ended up buying it for $205. We made this deal pretty simple for us because we're like, well, it was pretty much a wholesale deal. So for those of you that might be like, what the heck is a wholesale deal? Very simply, we're buying it cash, we're closing on it, and then we're going to put very minimal into it. Literally, we're putting in some paint, we're fixing some cabinets, we're fixing some fixtures, and just making sure everything in the property works, getting in new appliances. So very minimal. I wouldn't really even consider this a rehab because it's literally the basics just to get it presentable, smelling nice and new and clean. So then we can go and list it on the market. So we bought it for $205. We assigned it to ourselves for $220.
Why did we assign it to ourselves?
So the reason that we do that, Matt, is there's different companies that we own. And so one of our companies is our wholesaling business, which is our direct to seller. And then we also do JV deals in there. But our wholesaling business, American Home Offers, is what we use to market for properties.
Right. It's basically our outreach. It's our arms to bring in opportunities. So then we can decide what we want to do with them. So when we have or assignee on our contract, we literally mean
or one of our other entities buying this.
We might literally, pretty oftentimes we do.
Yep.
We'll just assign it to ourselves. So we are the assignee. So yes.
Yep. So then it's like, as deals are coming in on this acquisition conveyor belt through American Home Offers, we look at that for potential buy and holds that we can rent out or turn into Airbnbs, or we look at it as, hey, this could be a good fix and flip. So we see these properties coming down the pipeline on this conveyor belt, and we say, okay, we're gonna take that one. We have it this is essentially on the conveyor belt, Easy Streets right here. We say, let's take this at 205 and let's assign it to, we're taking it off the acquisition conveyor belt. Let's put it over here on our fix and flip entity. And that's essentially what we did, is we assigned it to ourselves for 220. So our conveyor belt acquisition company, American Home Offers, makes a $15,000 assignment fee. And then we're going to turn around, do some miscellaneous minor stuff in the property, list it for probably around 270.
Basically putting it on another conveyor belt.
Yep.
Fix and flip.
Exactly. So imagine essentially all these businesses are in a factory on conveyor belts. We have our acquisition conveyor belt coming down of these deals, and then we grab properties and we take it off there. We say, let's go put this on our fix and flip conveyor belt where it gets down, a little bit of fix up. It's going to get listed, and we're going to sell it into a retail buyer, which is a family that's going to probably move into it, or somebody that, maybe they're buying it as their second home, like, the seller sold it to us. So that's essentially what we're doing. And that's how, between that $15,000 assignment and then the other, give or take $35,000 on the back end, when we resell it as a flip, we'll make around $50,000 on this deal that an agent might have blown up on us.
Right. So 50 grand, this is also just a testament to being able to do fix and flips, right? And start really working this on your business. So if you're only a wholesaling business, you're in the wrong game, right? You need to be able to look at different options. If you're only a wholesale business, great. That's how you get started. You start getting some cash, right? Nothing wrong with that, but you need, as soon as it makes sense, or you can, either you need to find someone you can partner with on flips. If you're in Phoenix, that's us. Or you start getting access to some cash and then obviously the challenge with that is you got to get a team together, someone to manage the construction. There's a lot of things that happen, but it's so advantageous because when you figure those things out, you'll look at opportunities like, hey, do we want to wholesale this? Great. And we get the chance to pick the best opportunities. Like, we only flip the easy ones. Okay.
The good stuff.
We don't take on big, huge projects, right? We don't take on the ones that we got to pull permits, got to basically build new construction on and do all this crazy stuff. Easy ones, right? But it gives us the opportunity to maximize our profits of, okay, we'll sell all the really tough ones or the ones that we don't want, and the good ones we'll keep in-house, and then we are able to pay ourselves basically twice on a deal. Yep. So it makes sense. Like, realtors are there. I want you guys to understand that most of this live here today is just understanding that don't run away from realtors. If you have realtors that are working a deal that's acting as a gatekeeper, give me a call. I'm happy to help. Like, we work with realtors all the time. Heck, there's a whole division in our company that is dedicated to working relationships with realtors because they're in deals, man. And it's such an awesome opportunity because direct to seller is our foundation. It's the conveyor belt that's always running. We know, like, okay, let's spend some more money. That should bring more opportunities. And as long as our sales team doesn't suck, we should be able to get more deals. Right? But if the sales team's sucking, then we got a lot of opportunities. We're not getting deals. But we can control that, right? But the things that we can't control is the referrals and what comes in from agents and wholesalers and things like that. But it's so worth it because what's our return on our investment when a wholesaler or an agent brings us a deal that we're going to make 30, 40, 50 grand on? It's infinite because we don't really have
any marketing spend.
There's no marketing spend other than time, right? Of course, you can make an argument like, well, your time is worth it, well, whatever. Right. But as far as marketing spend is concerned, it's just such a great influx of cash and oxygen for your business. So then we can grow and do more direct to seller or really whatever we want to do. So don't run away from realtors, man. Like realtors they're in every transaction. They're actually really good for the industry because having realtors in deals, like it's an ethical thing. They have to do their fiduciary duty for their clients. They know what they're doing, but if you know what you're doing, creating meaningful relationships with them is just going to be an awesome addition to your business.
100%. So I just wanted to answer this quick question from Hung here, which is, what defines an easy flip for you guys? For us, it's cosmetic remodels. So every state's going to be different. Some states are more challenging where you literally have to pull a permit to change a window or do anything really. So for us, it's anything that we can do that's a cosmetic remodel. We're not adding square footage. We're not changing the whole floor plan around and doing all, a bunch of crazy stuff. So we like to do the flips where if we can just make it look prettier everywhere in the house and on the outside of the house, that's the type of stuff we like to do. We don't like to build stuff out.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Unless it makes a lot of sense.
Unless
to,
it's
like,
just stupid.
add a bathroom.
Yes.
Like we did on Kirchhoff.
Yeah.
Like adding a bathroom there just made a bunch of sense. Like we're able to make basically a master suite by adding a bathroom. And then we blew out one of the walls that were separating the living room and kitchen just to open it up.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like we had to go add a beam and, do all this crazy stuff. But I mean, all we did was basically replumb and turn the laundry room into
another bath,
into a bathroom. So like that kind of stuff we'll do as long as it makes a ton of sense
for
like
the deal.
A ridiculous amount of, that's a great value add. But you'll never like be turning and add, making an addition, turning a 600 square foot house into a 1,200 square foot house and doing all this other crazy stuff, especially not right now. Like I've never had experience with this, but Cody, have you ever had experience with having to pull permits and go through that process?
Yes, it takes forever. And with COVID, the city is all closed. And so it's like you got to mail in stuff or, you email it to them and they take, a week to get back to you. So we just like to keep it easy. And is there money in those deals? Yes. But for us, this is what works. We're making money with it. So why not do more of that? It's about making life a little bit easier so we can live on Easy Street.
We can live on Easy Street. Dang, we need to get the soundboard together so we can be hitting this little Cody's got jokes today. He's got jokes on a Monday. I love it. We got another question here from Christian. I'm gonna highlight it so you guys can see. This is on Cody's YouTube channel. Guys, if you're not on Cody's YouTube channel, you haven't subscribed. He does crazy shit. He talks about real estate. He talks about business. He talks about finance. I learned stuff about finance from Cody. I learned hey, how do you transition from just making a bunch of money to being wealthy, right? He talks about how to keep your money. So if you guys aren't subscribed on his YouTube channel, head over and subscribe because he also has his Porsche and stuff over there too, which is pretty dope. But yeah, Christian, how do you guys approach making an offer? I see a lot of agents overpricing fixers. Absolutely. Most of them will be overpriced, but it at least opens the door, right? So what we do is we'll send an offer, right? But before we send the offer, we'll call the agent, say, hey, we're about to send you an offer really quick. I just want to kind of see where you guys are at with everything. Review the offer. Of course, if you guys want to rebuttal or come back. So the agents are so different than direct to seller. Like direct to seller, we'll never give an offer until we know they're ready to sign. But with agents, we at least, that'll open the negotiation, especially if they're dealing with a lot of low balls, like that will happen when they're selling properties as is. It'll at least open the door, say, hey, well, this amount doesn't work, but can you guys do X amount? And now we have this game going. We're going to go back and forth. With direct to seller, we will never do that. But agents, at least, it's so great because there's less on the rapport building, buddy stuff to more straight
more
down
right
to business.
To the point. Yep.
Yeah, straight down to business. So that happens pretty often, Christian. If they're trying to get the highest and best in 72 hours, and I've talked to the agent, then I may not send the offer. I'll just wait to see where the dust settles, and I'll work on that relationship with the agent. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I'll say, well, you know what? We're probably not the right buyer on this particular deal, but keep us in mind for the next one. We are looking for more stuff. We do have these projects going on. We do X amount of deals per month. We'd love to work with you on something, right? Just keep us in mind. So it's a great opportunity to build a relationship and also not just start dishing out lowball offers, because then you're left with I don't know how much I would respect someone who is just throwing lowballs out there and not working on a relationship, rather than if you're not the right fit, just tell them you're not the right fit. That's more respectable, especially as a professional, that, hey, if they do have something else coming up, they'll at least check with their network of buyers, which is going to be, you're going to be in there, and hell, you might be a good fit on the next one. So don't discount that, be sure to build that relationship.
100%, 100%. So let's just answer Hung's last question here, and then we'll wrap it up. So same situation. What if the agent is the husband / homeowner? I mean, I think it goes back to like what Matt was talking about. Why don't you just list it? Like if you're having that conversation, you're an agent. Why don't you list it on the market and just sell it yourself? So I think, Hung, it really comes down to if they're actually motivated too. Like you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So no matter how hard you try, if they aren't motivated, you're not going to convince somebody to get motivated. Like we're in a business of sifting and sorting. We sift through these conversations with these homeowners, and we've bought deals from realtors that it was their own personal properties, but there has to be a situation there that's wanting them to be able to get this convenient option of selling it to us.
Right, and that's convenient right there. Not everyone is going to be the right fit for us, and we understand that, right? And we got to be okay with saying yes or no. Okay, no problem. Wish you the best. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
Right. Have a good relationship with them, because time may come where they don't get any offers, and maybe you can provide a creative solution. But don't get so bogged down thinking that everyone needs to work with you, or how can you work with every single person? Can't be efficient like that. I mean, the deal that I'm going to tomorrow, seller wanted almost 600, and within one conversation went down to 520, and then they went down to like, I just can't take less than 500. Does that sound like a motivated person?
Yeah.
Do you think someone that wasn't motivated would drop $100,000 on their price? Never. Right? They're like, 600, that's what I want. That's it. Are we done here? Talk to you later. I'm going to list this property. Great. I'm wasting my time.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. It's like you just want to get through those conversations and get to, if they're actually motivated enough to sell or not, and move on, and don't waste your time if you know that they're not going to be motivated. So that's really it. Matt, I mean, what are some of the closing thoughts that we have here? We're going to continue doing this on Mondays for the Creative Finance Facebook group, obviously on my YouTube channel as well. And we're just going to be breaking down deals. We're going to be talking about, how do we get the deal? What was the situation that we encountered to get that deal actually to the finish line? And then, doing some Q&A as well. But Matt, what do you have for everybody for some closing thoughts here?
Yes. So don't miss this live. I don't know. Have we set a time? It's going to be 4:30 or 5. What do we think? Every Monday?
I think 4:30 would be good. So
4:30 would be realistic.
Yeah.
So 4:30, guys. Mark
Mondays,
it on your calendar.
Arizona time.
Monday, we're going to be talking about real stuff. I don't know if I want to use too many profanities here on the YouTube channel, but real stuff that we're actually doing in our business, not a bunch of fluff, not a bunch of, hey, go believe in yourself and go talk to sellers. We're going to be talking about real deals. And if you don't want to hear about what's actually happening in a real estate business, then maybe not tune in. But it's going to be dope. I'm excited to do this every single week, every single Monday. Again, this leads up to our partnership meeting, so it gets me excited for that.
Yeah.
And hopefully you guys get some value to hear us talking about real deals. It's funny because like I talk to so many people that go to meetups, and they're like, hey guys, who wants to talk about a deal that you're doing? And like no one raises their hand because no one's doing deals. It's like, what are you doing in that room? You're better off to hang out with us on Mondays. So don't miss it. 4:30, we're going to be here breaking down deals. And hopefully now, after hearing us talk about working with realtors, go back, rewind, watch this again if you need to. But ultimately, don't run away when the realtor is there. Like if you can start developing this skill and like implementing this into your business now, you're going to be so far ahead of the curve with all these other wholesalers that are afraid to do it. You're going to be like, dude, I'm just stacking my cash. I'm making like an extra 50 grand a month working with these realtors. I'm not telling you what I'm doing, right? This is such a great thing to start doing right now because not a lot of people are on it. Start taking advantage of it. Reach out to realtors, work these relationships, because even in today's hot market, we're still getting deals on the MLS.
Heck yeah, Matt. Dude, I love it. Excited, guys. We'll see you next Monday. And have a great rest of your week, everybody.
Later.
Peace.